for those of you who don't know me, I am America's man's man. How did I become America's man's man? Well, I started as a former fake news reporter, right? Because you can't tell the truth when you're on the fake news. You can't. And I tried to make the right decision over and over and over again, and I did. I got the interviews. I got both sides of the story. I got, I got the American side, and and I even got the communist side, like they do. Well, like they never really did that in journalism, did they? Because at the end of the day, the fake news is there to exploit you, to bring evil and negativity from. And negativity is kind of a far out there, new agey kind of concept. But what do I mean by negativity? I mean that if there's someone in distress anywhere in the world, they're going to take that distress and they're going to find a way to try to make it relevant to you. This is what the fake news anchors and reporters do every single day. The news editors, they do it every single day. This is what they're trained to. This is what I was trained to do as a fake news anchor. Well, there's a murder in some podunk town, 2,000 miles away on the other side of the country. What's the local angle on this? How do we how do we make it relevant to to whatever audience they're trying to reach, the local station? Let's get the local angle. Let's send our reporters over there like right now, the fake news is doing what they've done a million times before. They're agitating an entire nation to riot. Okay? Think about that. The fake news is directly responsible right now for your danger, the immediate danger that's being posed to your community. And I don't like it. Nobody should like it. But the problem that most Americans have is that they assume that the talking heads on TV and Google and the FANG Cup, first of all, you assume that what you see on the internet is uncensored and unfiltered, and you think it represents reality. And that it could not be further from the truth. And just like we used to think about the fake news anchors, and are now waking up to the fact that that's definitely not true. If they represent the world and America as prosperous and peaceful as it really is, then you're going to turn off the TV. So they got to come up with some way to razz you, and really what they do. And this is why the fake news anchors are such a despicable creature, and it's such a despicable profession. They've got to cause the violence. They've got to keep it coming. They've got to keep it coming at you non-stop, or else, well, they've got nothing to report that's relevant to you. So the fake news is always trying to drum up and stage more relevant nonsense. When I say nonsense, they're trying to create danger in your community so that they have something to report on. Don't get mad at me for telling you that. I am just the truthful messenger trying. So what do we do about it, right? Well, I'll tell you what we don't do. Even though the fake news is instigating, is actively participating in the violence against wonderful communities who have no violence whatsoever going on in them across America, and this is where America's man's men, like to spend our time, and live and work. We don't like to be among the manipulated mobs, where they're causing, where the fake news is the stupid people who are easily agitated by the fake news. You know what I find, even it's a double tax really on the taxpayer, because not only all these protesters that the fake news allies are it's actually it's us, the taxpayers, it's we the taxpayers who are paying these do nothing protester types to protest. So we're feeding these ignorant TV watching idiots who are watching on TV. Oh, CNN says everybody should riot, and I know they attack CNN. CNN getting its just desserts for fomenting strife across the country for as long as it has. I don't support the angry mob. But, it's like when you're CNN and you're an instigator of violence all the time, this is what tends to happen. Anyway, I'm not suggesting, and I'm truthful in this, I really am, we America's man's men don't instigate more violence, because it just creates more misery for everybody, including the person conducting the violence. Even those do-nothing taxpayer-funded protesters. What do I mean by taxpayer-funded? Well, it's the welfare system who is feeding these idiots who are, who are watching TV and being like, oh, CNN says now is the time. We got to go and throw bricks at the State House. Anyway, so what do? Well, we've got to actively call out the fake news, because the fake news is number one tactic. They've been doing it over and over and over again. And again, they teach you this in fake news school. I majored in fake news, so I know this stuff, and I know, and I worked alongside these anti-American communists at the likes of WBZ, which is or was owned at the time by the communist CBS, the Communist Broadcasting System, is what I think it was named after. But here's how the fake news, I guess, if you kind of distill it all down to the bare bones, to the essentials, we're going to take a reductionist view here, because really the fake news, they do the same thing over and over again. And whatever new violence they're hawking today, they're saying, oh, this is the time, everybody's got to go and take down the State House, throw bricks at the State House. And they've been doing this, we got to throw bricks at the statues and all the legitimate people trying to do their jobs and all this other stuff. So what do we do? Like, how do America's man's men, real Americans, real patriots, respond to this? Don't commit unlawful violence. Should these people be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law for trying to take down America from the inside out? Should the fake news anchors be held accountable for their communist active instigating these riots across the country? Because remember the violence that the fake news is instigating now across the country, it would have been just one violent incident if the fake news hadn't continued to throw gasoline on the fire. Basically, the fake news is it's like that arsonist, and it's taking that one spark and they're pouring gasoline on you and me. And their goal is to blow us, the real Americans, up. Their goal is to be so incendiary that we can't set foot out of our houses every day without, they want to put us in a permanent state of fear. And they do this because they themselves, most fake news anchors, they don't know any other way to express themselves. And this is the only way they know how to earn a paycheck, by turning on the country that gives them everything that they have. And that's kind of sad. But like the Sodomites, we don't want to, we feel bad for them, but we don't want to, they're mounting an attack on us, the real Americans, through their fake news instigating of terror here domestically, okay? People say the enemy of the people, but that's what they actually are. They hate you and they hate me, because we real Americans, those millennials and other generations who are awakened to the evils of what they're doing, instigating terror, that's all it's doing. Whatever they say doesn't matter. I'll tell you what does not matter, and that is whatever is coming out of your television right now. And that's not heartless, it's the truth, because these folks are instigators. They're very sly instigators, and their goal is to take you and me down. So let's take them down. Not by doing the same thing that they're doing, not by stooping to their level, not by stooping to Michelle and Barack Obama's level of instigating violence against the American people with the help of the communist fake news who hates America, but by holding them accountable every day. So this is what I want you to do, America's man's man. Every time you see any post from the fake news, doesn't matter if it's about a puppy a kitten being saved from a tree, or the latest witty repartee about how they hate President Donald Trump, the best president who's ever existed in my lifetime, even better than Reagan, for sure. I want you to comment just fake news. Just say, hey, fake news, cut it out, or something, just something about the fact that we know we're onto them, right? WSB in Atlanta, all the way to all the news stations in San Diego and LA, California. I want all of you. This is war, okay? The fake news fights it with violence. The fake news creates violence by taking the misery of one person, right or wrong. They'll take that one tragic event in one town, one city in America, and they'll say, okay, America, now is the time to throw bricks at your steakhouse. I don't know why I want to I guess I'm hungry for steak. I love steak. I'm on the Mar-a-Lago diet. Now is the time to throw a temper tantrum in your city. Now is the time to riot, and they don't think your life matters, and and all this insanity. But this is what the fake news does. So how do we take on the fake news? We have to be active. We have to go on the offensive, just like our good President Donald J. Trump. And furthermore, we do it the Christian way, the American way, non-violently. No, you're not going to go to your television station and do what the fake news is telling you to do to legitimate elected officials and our places of government and court and church and sanity. We're not going to use violence. We are better than that because we're real Americans and we're Christian Americans. You understand that? So you're not going to return violence with violence, okay? But what we are going to do is we're going to call them out on their malarkey, okay? We're going to call them out on their baloney, okay? We're going to call out the fake news. Every time you see fake news, doesn't matter if it's on Twitter or Gab or anywhere you interact with the people, and, maybe your coworker is telling you, oh, hey, you'll never guess what I saw in the fake news yesterday. GNN? Man, come on. You're still watching the fake news? They have zero credibility. Twitter has no credibility. Google has zero credibility. We know that these are all biased against America. And they're the most despicable sort because they hate the country that gives them the freedom to conduct their business. And how do they use that freedom? To take advantage of America's men and women. And it's despicable. It's absolutely despicable. So, it's time to hold the fake news accountable. You call out the fake news when they say something like, oh, that Donald Trump, I don't know, I'm going to insinuate something. You say, hey, fake news, just shut up because we're sick of your baloney, okay? Or whatever your response is. Don't get angry. Remember, the biggest weapon that the fake news has and Silicon Valley and Twitter, the FANG companies, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google, the best weapon that they have is trying to pretend that they're on our side. Matter of fact, one television station in, I think it's Tennessee, that's their slogan, we're on your side. Well, tell them, stop, you domestic terrorist. Stop inciting violence because you are the enemy. You tell them that. And they're going to start, what they're going to do is they're going to start kowtowing to you a little bit because they're going to be called, they're going to know they're called out on their game of spreading violence, of being arsons of violence across the United States, the fake news terrorists, right? But we're never going to listen to them again because if we do, they're going to, don't give them an inch because they'll take a mile. You cannot trust them as far as you can watch them or any other. You just the fake news is always going to be bad. They're never going to come around to your side. Remember, I'm a former fake news anchor. I know how these people think. You trust America's man's men? We need to go on the offensive against the fake news, against the FANG companies, and hold them accountable. Not with their violence, not with their idiocy, but by calling them out and discrediting them for the morons, the anti-American seditious liars, the seditious anti-American terrorists that they are. From the fake news to the evil FANG axis of evil in Silicon Valley. You heard it from America's man's man. Now go out and hold the fake news accountable. And Silicon Valley.